Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for joining today's webinar. Today, we'll be talking about how you can use data and charts to tell better stories in your Foleon docs. We all want to create engaging, on-brand content that actually tells a story, and data should ideally be a part of that story. Data helps explain trends, prove impact, guide decisions, but when it comes to using data and charts in your docs, it's often harder than it should be. That's why I'm really excited today to introduce Data Visualizer, which lets you create, manage, and update charts directly inside Foleon. We've just released Data Visualizer in beta, and during this beta phase, you'll be able to create unlimited charts and publish up to 3 charts to add to your docs. Today, we'll give you a first look at what you can do and how you can start using it. So my name is Adele. I'm the Product Education Manager here at Foleon. I'll be your host today. A quick practical note before we get into it. The chat's live, so if you have any questions at all while we're talking, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll make sure they get answered. A recording, of course, will be available afterwards as well. I'm joined today with two guest speakers. We first have Joran, our product owner, who'll explain why we built this feature, and he'll walk us through a live demo. So Joran, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Adele. Happy to be here.
And Joanna as well. She's one of our customer success managers. She's going to be sharing some real world examples from customers. Joanna as well, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Nice. Well, I want to start off right off the bat with a question for you, Joran. You've been working on building Data Visualizer for the last few months with the product team. Can you give us just a quick introduction to what it is and why is this something we wanted to bring to life in Foleon?
Yeah, thank you, Adele. That's a very good question to start with. As you mentioned before already, data really needs to be part of the content story you're creating. But up until now, it's never really been native or being able to create a native chart or a data visualization within Foleon. And when it comes to data, it always needs to be accessible, easy, and also engaging. And that's kind of the challenges we had. At the moment, often what our customers do, or what people in general do, is they upload a static file, for example, like a screenshot, or they need to embed something. But it just doesn't really feel right. And that's something that we kept hearing more and more from our customers. So we said, okay, we see a few opportunities here to solve this challenge. So what we wanted to do is we have already the data elements within Foleon, but that doesn't really allow you to create a very advanced data visualization. So that's something that we wanted to kind of build on top on. What was also very important is that the data visualization really needs to fit within the content workflow. And that often means that you want to reduce the amount of tools because, you can create a visualization in Excel, but it drives you outside of Foleon, or even you need to purchase another tool to make that data visualization. And there we saw an opportunity thinking, okay, we can actually solve this within Foleon. So I can quickly show you what the end result of what we call a chart or a data visualization, what that now looks like within Foleon. And then later in this session, I will also show you how to actually create one. So stay tuned for that. So I'll just quickly share my screen. So here we have a Foleon doc. I hope that all of you are very familiar with it. And here on the right side of the screen, we have a data visualization. This is a pie chart, something that most of you will be very familiar with. And as you hover over it, you can see that it is interactive and there's actually a new level of engagement to the page. It really feels integrated into the Foleon doc, not just something that you put on top or something that you feel, this comes from outside. And of course, just like with everything in Foleon, it is fully on brand because it's built on top of the brand kit. And that's also something I will show you later. But before I do that, back to Adele.
Nice. Thanks, Joran. A nice sneak peek of what's to come. Joanna, before we get there, you're working closely with customers on a daily basis. Who can really benefit from adding charts directly to their docs, and what kinds of docs can they create?
Yeah, this really spans so many different types of industries, but also types of documents you could be creating. One of the biggest ones we see is annual reports, of course, seeing that year over year information, that data. Um, it could span into, more smaller cadence ones like quarterly business reviews or ROI performance reports, survey research reports, and more on the corporate level like sustainability ESG reports, which I have an example to share a little bit later. But this really helps customers across all different industries, as data is a really important aspect of backing up content and what a narrative has to say. It's that proof layer that really kind of keeps it really engaging. So it's quite important for content, I would say.
Definitely. I mean, you've listed so many different use cases already. So, it's really nice to see that this can be used in so many docs across industries, across content types. So, with that being said, yeah, I'd love to see some examples that you might have of customers who are incorporating charts now, and maybe to add a layer on top of that, just to hear a little bit how they built this.
Yeah, sure. Would love to. Let me go ahead and share my screen with us here. One example that is really fun to see data really come alive in an interesting way within a page here is actually from Simmons and Simmons, one of our Foleon finalists as well. I love that inside their document at the very bottom, they've included a survey results page. So as I click explore, it opens up in one of our pop-up pages that then showcases data all collectively right here in an interactive, engaging format. So as a reader, I'm really kind of immersed in this kind of world of numbers and wanting to kind of unpack this a little bit further. And so this is something that keeps it really alive and really interesting to look at as I'm kind of going through. And I know our data visualizer is going to be able to do this as well. So really excited to see that come to life. Um, that's one really great example. And I just keep going and it keeps going with more information, which is really fun to see kind of come alive there.
Yeah, I can imagine if this is just static images, it just feels like a lot to scroll through. So this kind of gives it that engaging element to it.
Absolutely. Another one I have to show is actually a sustainability report. And what's really fun on this one is Novata is one of customers I support. Let me go ahead and share the tab here. They actually have this report listed directly on their website. So anyone can access report publicly. So right from here, I can access the report from this gate. But once I get inside, here we are into the Foleon document. And they really kind of leveraged this support for all of their defining priorities. This is a key report that they use every year. So as I continue through, it shows for each regional data interactive, so I can look between ESG data versus sustainability data. And so being able to have that control over the content and is really important. It really keeps the content more engaging on the screen. If this was an image or a screenshot, I wouldn't be able to have this layer of interactivity to really engage with the data. So it just brings a whole other layer to it. Not only that, but these are also fully responsive. So the days of, seeing this on my phone and having to pinch and scroll that image to really see what the data is saying is no longer really an issue there.
That's a great one. I think we've all been in that scenario, so that's nice to hear.
And I have one more example to show, just to kind of see the detailed layer of what data could really show visually, is actually from Black Kite. Let me switch over there. They actually have all of their reports also right on the homepage of their website as well. Reports and thought leadership in this format is really important to their brands and their narrative here. So this report goes through all 2025 ransomware information. I'm going to skip ahead to where the attack data page really comes in. And this really showcases that, sure, that static imagery still has a place for some data where you really want to show some specific kind of infographic in this way. But when we really get down into it, there could be some stack charts and line graphs that really kind of show data across different groups or regions or even types of industries as well. So this layering is not something you can get from a static, image really to really kind of unpack this a little bit deeper. So I think it really showcases just where interactive data visualization just really enhances your content.
Nice. Thank you, Joanna, for showing that. I think it's really nice to see, let's say, data in action and in different uses, different ways of formatting different types of charts. So we'd love to hear from those of you who are joining us live for the webinar. We're going to launch a quick poll here. We're curious to hear, what tools are you currently using to add charts and graphs to your Foleon docs? We're really just curious to learn a bit more what your current process is, if you're using tools like InDesign or Excel, Infogram, whatever it is, let us know via this poll over on the right side of your screen. I'll leave that up for a little bit so you can think about it and let us know as we're continuing. But Joanna, we've mentioned kind of two different ways of working currently: embedding a chart from another tool where we saw, you could interact, or uploading a screenshot or some sort of exported image. When teams rely on these two approaches, where do you see some of the biggest friction or risk coming up?
Yeah, that's a great question. It really can come down to a couple of things. One, having to manage multiple tools can just really bog down, processes, create some bottlenecks, which ultimately can cost. And so that, I think, is one of the hardest things, especially when you're in a process where you're leaning on maybe a design team that's not directly, using Foleon, perhaps, creating that content in Adobe platforms. You now have to rely on, being able to manage that data, which can change pretty quickly, having to rely on another team to be able to produce another image, give you that asset. You have to upload it. You have to put that in the document. So I think just keeping it more flexible and scalable directly at your fingertips just makes that process a whole lot smoother and just allow you to get content out and more accurately a lot faster.
Nice. Joran, maybe a little bit back to you then. We've talked about, some of these problems. What would you say is different about creating charts natively in Foleon, and how can Data Visualizer help solve those problems?
Yeah, indeed. As you mentioned, that was the biggest challenge. So how can we actually allow people to create charts directly in Foleon? Because I think I can speak for all of us when I say, who loves screenshotting an Excel chart or something? It just doesn't really feel like it's what you want. And yeah, of course, there's also external tools. You can copy some embed code, paste it into Foleon, but still, it wasn't really part of the content workflow. So that's what we tried to make sure that we kind of could tackle. So what is possible now and how we make it possible is, yeah, you have all of your data in Google Sheets or in Excel. We don't want you to change that process, but what we do want is that you can easily download a CSV and then quickly upload it within Foleon. And immediately you have a chart that kind of ticks the three boxes of what we think makes a good chart, which is that it should be responsive. So whether it is on desktop or on tablet or mobile, it always looks good for your audience. Number two, it is interactive, and that it adds a level of engagement to your page so that your reader is able to interact with it. And then number three, also very important, is that a chart or whatever content you create in Foleon should always be on brand by default. And that is also what we did by having an integration with the brand kit. So so three things: responsive, interactive, and on brand. Then on top of that, you want one chart and maybe you want to use it in multiple Foleon docs, let's say 5, 10, 20. It will be very cumbersome to have to change it in all those different docs. So what we do allow you to do is you create one change or you make one little update in your chart, and it will update across all the different Foleon docs where you've used it without you needing to republish anything. And by doing that, we allow you to really centralize your chart or data visualization. So coming back to the initial question, what type of problems are we solving? I think we solved a lot of problems here. And I think I speak for the whole team when we say we're very proud to show you and excited to show you what that looks like within Foleon.
Definitely. Well, now is the time. I think, after all that intro and us talking, yeah, we're excited to see it. So yeah, the floor's over to you to show us how to create a chart with Data Visualizer.
Yes, and let me share my screen for that. So first up, I was talking about the brand kit, and obviously for us, it's very important that within the brand kit, you can completely manage all of that. So to do so, we created a new charts tab, and I hope that all of you are familiar with the brand kit because it's such an important part of Foleon content creation. And as you scroll down, you see chart colors, chart font styles, general chart settings, all settings that you can centrally manage within the brand kit already. Before I show you the data visualizer, let's go to the Foleon dashboard. You see here that there's a new tab called Data Visualizer, very fitting name. And I'm going to create a new chart. So let me create a new chart. Then I'm going to call it year-over-year emissions reduction. That's what we're going for here because we're going to work on a sustainability Foleon doc. I'm going to select a column chart. And as you can see here, the chart is completely preloaded with some sample data. But actually, I already have my data. I had it in Google Sheets. I downloaded a CSV, and I'm going to import it here. So that opens up my desktop. And I've now filled in or uploaded the CSV. And immediately you see that it kind of changes here. So the layout of the data visualizer is quite simple. On the left-hand side, we have the data table. You can change the chart settings and the style. And on the right side, we always have a very live preview of what that actually looks like in your Foleon doc. So here you can change any of the data. As you can see here, you can change the colors, but for now, we're quite happy with it because by default, the brand kit is applied. I'll show that later. Let me go to the chart settings. And here, if I want to, I can still switch to the bar chart. I can switch to a line chart. Pie chart doesn't really make sense for this type of data. So let me go back to the column chart. Instead of it being stacked, I want it grouped. And you can see that that preview always changes dynamically based on what I set up here in the left-hand side. I'm going to turn off the data labels. You see a change over there here on top. I'm going to turn them back on. From horizontal grid lines, vertical grid lines, you can change all of that. Going down a little bit, I can also decide here, I'm going to change the title. And I don't want a subtitle, so I'm going to turn that off. And as you can see, it's all very smooth and it works very easily, let's say. Going to the Style tab, now this is where you see that your brand kit is applied to the entire chart. And you can see the fonts that are used, you can see the general chart settings, and you can still change some of those if you'd like. You can override the brand kit settings that you've set. Right now, I'm pretty happy with how this chart, what this chart looks like. So I'm going to click Make Public. And once you click Make Public, it will be available for use within your Foleon doc. So I'm going to do just that. Then I'm going to back to the Foleon editor. I have this sustainability doc, and at the bottom of the page, I've left a bit of space for that new chart. So I'm going to go to Elements, drag in a chart, and here you can see the chart we have just created. I'm going to import it. And you can see here that maybe I would want it to have a bit more space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the spacing a little bit. Let me see. There we go. And you can see that it immediately is responsive and then that it changes just responsively how I like it. Now, you have it here in the Foleon doc. You can also change the way what it looks like here. So let me add a shadow. I want a bit of a shadow like that. Increase a bit of blur. And now it looks a bit more stylized, just the way that I like it for my brand. Now, what if you've talked to your team and they say, hey, for 2020, the value here of the office energy use was not 1200, it was actually 2000. So I can go back to the data visualizer. Let me go back to the data. So this is here the data point that I want to change. I click on 2000. It changes here dynamically. I update it. And then here, if I refresh, I immediately see that it's automatically refreshed here as well. So this goes for in the editor, but this also applies to within the preview. So if I now go to the preview and quickly refresh, and I'm going to scroll down to the page where the chart is, this is automatically updated. And this also applies to your live Foleon doc. And right now it's just one Foleon doc, but it would also apply to 50 or 100 Foleon docs with just one click. So basically, that's the full flow of creating a chart, going to the data visualizer, having it on brand, and then dropping it into your Foleon doc. I hope that it was a very clear flow to you. And yeah, back to you, Adele.
Thanks, Joran. Very clear. I think it's really exciting to see Data Visualizer in action. Before I share my thoughts on it, Joanna, I want to come back to you. When you think about some of the challenges that we talked about earlier, having to use static images, doing manual updates, needing to use extra tools, how does Data Visualizer change the way teams can approach using data in their Foleon docs?
I mean, the demo really showed like how easy it's going to be to have like those quick changes right at your fingertips. It's really just having that smoother flow of, let me take the raw data, let me bring it into the system, let me just make it more engaging right here, right where my content is. So I can easily just grab it and go. Very similar to how our modules functionality is working as well. Just being able to say, okay, here is my centralized chart. I need to have this in my sustainability report. It's also going to be useful. It may be in my internal, quarterly business review as well. Let me make sure it's in both places. And being able to manage that easily, quickly, just makes it so much quicker to be able to collaborate together. Even after it's live, I think it's worth mentioning too, like even when the document is live and you see an update and something happens, it's a quick switch and really no downtime. So it's really nice to keep that live and updated.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, you can use your doc, that chart in so many docs, and you update it once, and it can be updated everywhere. So that's a really nice one. So I want to mention to those watching, if you're not part of the Data Visualizer beta yet, you can actually still sign up today. So if you like what you saw and you want to try it out for yourself, you can still join the beta. During the beta, you'll get access to the feature, of course, at no charge. You'll be able to create unlimited charts and publish up to 3 charts to use in your docs. This will be an add-on feature, or if you want access to more charts. And as a thank you for joining the beta, you'll receive an exclusive early adopter offer. So we're offering 25% off the add-on if you purchase it by the end of March. So I definitely encourage you guys to take advantage of this offer. You saw how easy it was to create a chart, and that will help you, use data in all of your Foleon docs across, so many different use cases. We're going to launch a poll right now. Let us know if you'd like to join the beta, and we'll make sure you're added so you can get access and receive that early bird offer. And if you are already part of the beta, you should already see Data Visualizer in your menu. So you can go ahead and get started right away. You've seen Joran use it, and we really encourage you to already go ahead and try it out yourself. Before I close off here, I'd love to get kind of one final thought from each of you. Joran, for teams who are maybe just getting started with Data Visualizer, what's the best way to approach it? And what do you hope it enables them to do?
Yeah, my advice would be pretty simple, just like with anything. Yeah, starting very simple. Just experiment maybe with one chart, maybe stick to one chart type, have a play around in the data visualizer and see how it would fit like in one of your docs. So start small. So one chart, one doc, put it in there and see how it kind of resonates. Maybe first with your colleagues and then later with your audience. My second tip would be you probably have a lot of data lying around and maybe it's not always top of mind for you. Maybe you're a designer who doesn't love getting into the data, but there's probably a lot of data around that you could start data visualizing with a new way of building charts. So use what we already have. And then number three, and maybe that is the most important piece of advice I could give you, is that charts and data visualization really is a part of your content and not really an afterthought. And okay, it is numbers, but if you present it in an easy and accessible, engaging way, it can really lift up your whole content and also make sure that, it looks very presentable. It looks like you are a thought leader, and numbers can really help with that perception of your content. So, make sure that data is top of mind.
Really nice. Thanks, Joran. Maybe Joanna, also from your perspective with customers, why do you think Data Visualizer is worth trying, and where do you think teams will feel the biggest difference?
Yeah, I think it's really going to be at that collaboration level and ease of use of being able to say confidently that I can keep my data up to date. And I can keep it, really easy and flexible for adjustments, as many teams need to be really agile today. And not to mention just simplifying the tech stack for you and the team as well. Even reducing costs, not only just in like actual different tools, but also in time it takes to keep things manageable.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really nice one. I really want to thank you, Joran, Joanna, for joining us today and for sharing all of your thoughts. Before we finish off, I just want to encourage everyone to get started today. Head over to your dashboard, create your first chart, drop it into your doc. Like Joanna mentioned at the beginning of this, there's so many different use cases for it. But also in line with what Joran mentioned, start simple. Create one chart, use it in things like your sustainability reports, your thought leadership docs, impact reports, whatever it may be. You can start adding data into your storytelling. And if you need help along the way, you can always reach out to your customer success manager. We're really here to help you be successful in using this new tool. So thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoyed seeing Data Visualizer in action. I know I definitely did. Thanks again, Joran and Joanna, and we hope to see everyone at the next webinar. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
can't wait for to see how customers are going to use it. So we're very curious.
Yes. We always learn so much from our customers. So I'm always excited to see when it gets in their hands what happens.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Have fun with Data Visualizer and let us know if you have questions. Thanks.
Thank you.